Stop me if you've heard this before. Rangers didn't have enough offense in their game last night. How come nobody stopped me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened again. We talk about it and try to solve it next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. "32 times. Yep, 32 times that statement has applied. That is, the Rangers didn't score enough runs, but still, these one-run scoring games are just so repetitive and annoying. Hi there. Welcome into the all DLLS Sports Studios. Welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. The Prophet, Elijah Smith, is over there, too, and we're glad to have you. Join us. Share your frustration. We're feeling it, too. There was a lot to be frustrated about in last night's game, and we talked yesterday on the show, Jeff, about maybe the first thing that, and maybe this is something that really does give the Rays a home field advantage, but it was like spitting rain the entire afternoon. And then finally, when the clouds opened and there was a deluge, there was an 18-minute rain delay. But 18 minutes, for me, and again, having done so many games when we would have rain delays and I had to what we call, rain delay theater, we're talking at least an hour. Right. But it happens so often there, it's like, yep, throw a little dry stuff down and away we go.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And John Daniels had told me, when we talked about it yesterday, how he was kind of helping them transition to the new ballpark. He told me that they were going to back up their start times to try to avoid these afternoon, early evening rain showers. So, a 7:30 start is unheard of, basically, in baseball these days. And they still weren't able to avoid the rain. And, I think yesterday when I looked at the forecast, there was some rain in it, but I'm not sure if tonight's game will be affected. But it's, the Rangers never at home play in the rain.
No. and the truth is, having spent many a road trip in the Tampa area, of course, then they played in a domed stadium. It rains every afternoon. We know that. Afternoon. Yeah. But to John's point, to JD's point, usually by the evening, again, in the ever so dark and dingy Suncoast Dome or whatever, Tropicana Field, whatever we call it these days, every once in a while, I'd just walk to where there might be a window to see if there was still light outside. That place was just so dark. It felt like it was midnight all the time. And usually around game time, it was fine. It was sunny out there. I'm sure it was hot and humid, but it was sunny. Not last night.
No, and the forecast, it's raining now, and they expect it to end until rain through 4 p.m. So should be an on-time start. I'm sure that they do have a tarp, and I think we saw it yesterday. So they're going to do their best, but it's it's just different. And I don't know, it was rainy for both teams.
It was, but again, they deal with it a lot more.
And really the thing that the game got away from the Rangers in the sixth. Malley had that long at bat with Yainer Diaz that really kind of unraveled him, and then Jake Latz came in, wild pitch, then a little tapper that's kind of no man's land for Berger, and nobody's covering first, and they scored a run on a throwing error that on a double steal situation. So it was a messy inning, and the Rangers, as we know, can't have those. They just can't. They have to be as close to perfect as possible. And as Ron Washington used to say, there's no perfection in baseball.
No.
And teams are going to do this, and the Rangers had an inning like that against the White Sox a couple weekends ago, and ended up costing them. Those are rare. They haven't had those a lot this year, but those are things that are going to happen. Of course, as we talk about pretty much every day, they've had the offense just disappear, and that's continues to be the problem and will always be the problem until it gets straightened out.
Yeah, and the reality is, even without that 6th inning, and then, of course, without the late home run that made it 5-1, but even without the 6th of the late home run, okay, they hit a disappearing home run to take a 1-0 lead. I don't think anybody at the Major League Baseball office, any of the umpires, nobody on the TV crew, nobody in the damn stadium saw where that ball went. It got up into that misty, cloudy stuff, and it was gone. And they called it a home run, and they reviewed it, and it didn't seem to take very long to review. Just not sure what happened there.
Yeah, and I don't know. At least they hit it hard and hit it deep.
Yeah,
hey,
close enough.
Get rewarded. How about a Rangers hitter try that?
Yeah, it might have worked. You should have been bombing them all at that point. Yeah, up into that misty sky. But in any event, the point is, the Rangers then only scored 1. So the best we would have done without that 6th inning would have been a 1-1 tie, and I did enjoy seeing our boy Cody Hoyer in there, but boy, he gave up a bomb, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's kind of why he's there. And a roster move, at least one roster move's coming today with Rocker coming off the IL. Well, that'll be Evaldi, I guess, has been on the IL, but Rangers still have to clear a roster spot for Rocker, and poor Cody with an eye might draw the short straw, and when Chris Martin comes back, Cody with an eye is going to be a candidate if he survives this one. So, but that's why he's here. Guys in his position, that's just kind of the way things go, and they know it. I believe he has options though. So now that he's on the 40, they don't need to clear anything for him. He should be able to
get on a shuttle.
Hop a plane and go join the Round Rocks in Salt Lake City is where they are right now.
Yeah, so I see Gallagher Champ there in the chat already mentioning Laz, and we've got Laz on the list. We might beg to differ. I Gallagher Champ, I can blame Laz for anything. I mean, this guy, again, Mr. Umpire, we did not come to this game and pay our good hard-earned money to watch you ump. But Laz wants to be the show.
Oh man, and he's probably now that Joe West is off into retirement, Laz Diaz might be the showman, the leading showman of the umpiring crew. I can't really think of a guy who makes it about him as much as Laz does. And so, these guys know it coming in.
They do.
And it's kind of like the way he wears his hat, he kind of puffs up and there's just a whole little thing about him. And when you throw on top of that, he's not good.
Right.
That's the other thing. He is not a good umpire. And you can be a bad umpire, like CB Buckner is a bad umpire, maybe the worst, but he's nice.
Yeah.
and they can talk, the teams can talk to him, the players can talk to him and not, fear getting thrown out. Whereas Laz, you can't say anything.
He's always looking for a fight, isn't he?
He was looking for trouble. If you guys follow Umpire Scorecard on the Twitter, he was 90% overall accuracy, 80, but only 84% on called strike accuracy. So he called some. Yeah, he called some strikes that were balls.
That one did go both ways. And to Blake's point, you hate them not adjusting to the strike zone. Usually I do, but in this case, what the hell was Laz Diaz's strike zone? There was a ball that I'm pretty sure it was, I think it might have been when Latz was in there, but whoever. There was a ball thrown to a left-handed hitter from the Rays that was at least 7 inches off the plate. Called it a strike.
Yeah, no, it's on here on the screen. It's barely on the screen. It barely fits.
Right.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
And there are the last year when Wyatt Langford had that run in with Angel Hernandez. Well, not a run in.
Yeah.
Angel just screwed him over.
Yeah.
It was rated as the like worst call in the history of umpire auditor or whatever the account was. And I'm gonna guess that this one is right there with it, because it was well off the plate.
And maybe it was still Malley, because I do remember thinking when I saw it, well, seriously, maybe the rain got in his eyes, so maybe it was early enough in the game that egregious call happened. That I was even, I don't like the guy, but I was even sitting there trying to make excuses for him in that case. And that's the other thing. I just felt like he, right at the point that the rain really starts to come, he's the one that makes the call whether or not they stop playing.
If he's a crew chief, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good point. I think he was, because ultimately I think he did. Yeah. And I just felt like he waited too long.
He might have.
You know?
But again, it's the same for both teams. But these guys are, they're just driving us crazy. Andy Fletcher is another one who makes it about him. And he's terrible. And he and Jacob deGrom got into it in Detroit. So there's another one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But and J.P. Crawford had a deal with him in the last couple of days, maybe over the weekend, where he got called out on a pitch that was way off the plate, and then JP started to argue a little bit and got run immediately. So, here come the automated umps. Here
Boy,
come,
no
or at
kidding.
least the challenge system. Gotta have the challenge system.
When the Fletcher game that when it was in Detroit, and as Jeff mentioned, and DeGrom was obviously disgusted with him, and we talked to Boch about it the next day. And he was saying, I barked at the guy the whole game. And then he goes, but so did they. He goes, and pointed over to the other dugout. They were barking at him too. And Eric Nadel in the little gathering of media that we had there said, here come the robots, Yeah. And that's essentially, it seems like what's going to happen. And maybe to the extent that Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball want this, they're letting these umpires giving them just enough rope to hang themselves, kind of thing.
You got to do it. There was that story by The Athletic talking about it and how the umpires are, they don't like it because they're going to feel bad. Well, be better at your damn job,
right?
And if it's so hard nowadays with the way the pitches move that you can't do it, then I would want to get the thing right. I mean,
100%.
That's their job.
100%.
It should be an egoless job. The ultimate goal is to make sure everything's as right as possible. And how about the first base ump the other day? And I can't remember if it was the against the Cardinals or the Blue Jays. The first base ump missed like 3 calls that they reviewed. And he missed like 2 in an inning. And there's a check swing that he missed that they couldn't review, but it was, and that helped. That actually benefited the Rangers. It's just like,
how how do you miss 3 calls at first?
Yeah,
they're generally not that hard.
And they were like quick overturns too. It's not like they had to like study it for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So I just there are guys who need to swallow their pride a little bit and recognize that they're getting paid. These guys don't get paid like $500 a game. They get big
good
salaries.
Money. Yeah.
And they're, the umpire rooms. You've been in the umpire room at the ballpark.
Fantastic.
Hoggy takes care of those guys.
And there's one of those every ballpark.
Ballpark. So these guys have a pretty nice thing going, and they need a little help.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But like Jeff said, be better. Not for all of them, but for some.
Yeah.
Laz included.
Yeah.
Okay. More coming. We've got lots more to talk about. There was some good that happened on the first day that they were in Tampa. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the return of someone who actually made a pleasant, if not triumphant, return. It's all coming up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
I got to tell you, John, I really enjoyed that Frosty
Oh,
yesterday from
man,
Wendy's.
those were
Yeah,
good.
the Wendy's Frosty shop. It's their new kind of push here because the Frosty's been around forever.
It has.
I mean, it was Dave Thomas. But it didn't change. It hasn't changed for a number of years.
Yeah.
Now they're changing them up. So if you love the classic Frosty flavors, big news is coming here. All new Frosty Swirl, Frosty Fusion flavors you can get in either chocolate or vanilla. My God, that one I had yesterday with the Oreos was so good. I didn't eat the whole thing because, I've gained a little weight.
Watching your girlish figure.
Watching my figure. But you guys are going to absolutely love these things. And, it's Wendy's. And, Wendy's is criminally underrated, I think, in the world of fast food. Their burgers are
really
terrific.
good. Yeah, really good.
So a burger and a Frosty, and we followed up yesterday with a Bud Light. So
can't beat it.
Hard to beat it. So anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for it. Clock in for a sweet treat time, anytime, including midnight or later, with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic, got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
And if you do eat the whole thing, I suggest you just put on your Shady Rays and no one will notice, right? Now you're kind of invisible, right? Nobody sees
Incognito.
who you are, right? It's like,
Yeah.
What? Who, me? Shady Rays, as you know, my favorite. They have 300,000 five-star reviews. I actually haven't reviewed them. So let's say they have 300,001 because I would give them a five-star review. Their latest thing is to remind you that they have the return and replacement policy. I'll never forget the time I lost my shades. First day in the Destin at the beach, got a new pair of shades, went in there in the waves, and wave knocked them off, and off they went, man. Undertow took them out to I don't even know where. So I was sad. If I'd had Shady Rays, they would have replaced them. You should get yours. 35% off. Shady Rays, use the code DLLS. All right, so some good things that happened yesterday. Foremost among them was actually something that happened off the field, and this is as bad as the Rangers have been on the road. And by the way, only the White Sox are worse in the American League on the road. That's not company you want to be keeping. Rangers fell to 9-19 on the road last night. That's 10 games under 500
That's
on
horrible.
the road. That's terrible. But one nice thing that's happened even on these road trips, and we can only hope this one doesn't wind up as bad as the last one when the Rangers won the sixth and final game in sort of, I mean, you can't really walk it off on the road, but essentially in walk-off fashion in Chicago, right? They had to come from behind with like 3 or 4 runs in the ninth inning to win the dang thing. And that was to salvage a 1-5 trip. A nice thing that happened on that trip, though, is that Jake Berger got back to some of his roots in Chicago, and he visited with some people who were out there who were, had a foundation in Chicago that was attempting to bring awareness to the same cause that Jake and his wife Ashlyn are bringing awareness to, and that is Down syndrome. So yesterday, or maybe the day before, one of the first 2 days in Tampa, Jake and Ashlyn met with the people from Gigi's house, and that's a foundation down there that's designed to help kids and help families through the struggles that can be a part of a child born with an extra 21st chromosome and Down syndrome.
Yeah, and I believe the Rangers' first road trip was to Cincinnati, and the Burgers and some Reds players went over there. Some Rangers players went to a similar situation in Cincinnati, and MLB gives players a platform to do some things, and it's really nice when they take advantage of it. Yeah, I mean, this is a life-altering thing that happened to the Burgers. Obviously, having a baby changes your life, but having a baby who's going to have some challenges growing up. And so they're embracing it. They're trying to spread awareness. And Ashlyn and Penelope, the baby with Down syndrome, and then Brooks, the older brother, though barely older. They've they've been back in Nashville. They're coming back to Texas after this road trip. So it's just nice. It's just great.
Now,
it's just great to see. And Jake is just as good a person as there is in that
by
clubhouse.
far. Let's look at some of the photos from what they were doing yesterday, and you see Rays players were a part of this as well, as was the mascot. But just great to see Rays and Rangers players, sort of combining forces for a really good cause. Is that Lau or low?
That's Lau.
That's Lau.
That's
okay,
Lau.
That's not low. That's Lau. There they all are. But it's just awesome to see this kind of a turnout for a very special cause, and obviously one that is so close to the heart of the Berger family. So that's a good thing. Another good thing, we were maybe a little surprised. I think I was a little surprised, Jeff, to see that Adolis Garcia was not in the starting lineup yesterday, but he did pinch hit. And again, we weren't there for the Boch scrum before the game, so I hadn't seen anything. Maybe you saw it on Twitter that he was available to pinch hit. I don't know. I did not see that. So then when he did, I'm like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
But anyway, both those things then therefore surprised me.
Yeah, and this is kind of, I think, the plan. I think I don't know that he's going to be in the starting lineup regularly. And when there are opportunities to use him off the bench, they'll do it. He's going to be available to play. He's going to be available. But they are asking him to make the swing changes. So he's working on those, but he also has to be able to successfully implement them into game action. And it's things that he's done in the past, and things that are going to focus on his strengths. And I think, it was put to me by a source that the swing changes he made are taking away from his strengths. And it's like, I was told, and I haven't done it yet, but to go look at the Baseball Savant page in 23 and where he was hitting the ball with the most authority and compare it to this year. He's just gotten away from it.
And these are the swing changes that he voluntarily made with the Bobby Witt hitting coach.
And they weren't Rangers changes.
Okay.
Now they had suggested, hey, at the end of last season, like, your bat you need to be quicker. Your bat's too slow. Your swing is too long. All right. So he went to a guy who works with Bobby Witt, who's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But I think Bobby Witt's a much better talent than Adolis. As good as Adolis is, Bobby Witt's better. And or as good as Adolis can be.
Yeah.
Bobby Witt's better. And so they need him to make the changes. And until he does, I don't think he's going to be a regular. That doesn't mean he's not going to start and not going to play, but I think last night was the opportunity to get him in there, maybe see how things are feeling, implement the swing changes, and the results were good.
I was about to say, that was my third surprise. He had a hit and an RBI.
He should have had a hit in his last at-bat. The one that ended the game, the first baseman basically fell down and look what I've got.
Yeah.
And so I think that there will be an opportunity for him to play regularly again, but not until the Rangers see what they need to see.
And again, last night was a glimpse. Yeah. Right now, I don't know. You and I don't know if he was. Who knows how those balls were hit, like exactly with which swing, right?
Right.
His old swing, his new swing. They've asked him essentially to implement new old swing changes, right? Basically go back to what worked. And so that's what clearly he's trying to do.
Yeah. And I don't know if they've said or else.
Right.
Right. And maybe they did. I don't know. But and maybe the or else has motivated Adolis to embrace the changes and work on them and do his level best to make sure that he can carry him into games. Maybe it'll all come out. Maybe it won't. Adolis doesn't talk to the media a lot.
Not much.
And this is one of those things that unless there's a dramatic turnaround, probably won't get a lot of information about.
No, because Rangers management is good about that. Which I mean, we'd love for them to spill the beans at some point, but they're really good about
throw the player under the bus. They don't do that at all.
No, they never do. They never do and shouldn't really. But it'd be salacious. I mean, it makes for good copy, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
anyway, so that was really good. And what was also on display last night with Evan Carter back from the injured list was just how versatile and deep this outfield core can be, Jeff. I mean, they put Evan obviously back into center field. That moves Wyatt Langford over to left. And then how about the play and really the job that Osuna did in right field?
I mean, he's a great defensive player.
Yeah.
I think the Rangers view him more as a corner outfielder than a center fielder. And yeah, he can play.
He can go get it.
He can go get it. And he just plays so hard. That's something that, if you're not going good at the plate, and not that he's not, you can always bring something and help the team out. Marcus Semien has not been very good this season. We can all agree on that.
Yep.
But the guy doesn't carry it into the field.
Nope.
He's still really, really good defensively. And when he's on the bases, he's a really, really good base runner. And Adolis, to his credit, has been excellent defensively.
Maybe a downturn a little bit last year, but this year,
he was not a good outfielder.
I was going to. That's what I thought.
He has the arm that kind of gives the flash, and you can overlook some misreads or whatever. But he wasn't healthy last year, and he was a poor defensive outfielder. He really was. And this year, he's one of the best in baseball in right field, maybe the best. So there's still that. Look, the guy feels good. He's as healthy as he's been in a couple years. The defense is there. When he's on the bases, he runs the bases well, but the offense is missing. But the Rangers want to take advantage of this. They want to see what a healthy Adolis Garcia can do, healthy like he was in 23.
Right.
So it's going to be a work in progress. Probably this may not be something that happens in a couple weeks. Maybe it does, but it's going to be an interesting story to follow.
Yeah, and so there were, I think, back-to-back innings. Maybe it was the same inning. There were two great catches, actually back-to-back innings, half innings. It was one from Osuna out in right field where he had to come in and slide, and then one the very next half inning in left field when Wyatt Langford came in to slide. Wyatt's, I thought, was actually a better catch, and I will say, to me, it looked like Osuna took a little bit of a bad route. He started a little bit to his right and then used his catch-up speed to get over there and catch that ball.
Yeah. I just, I think I said this last week. Like, nobody's talking about how great Wyatt Langford has been defensively, especially where he started his Rangers career. People like saying, oh, my God, he's just going to have to be a full-time DH because they don't think he can play the outfield.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's like this great left fielder, and they feel 100% comfortable putting him in center where he's been great.
Yeah.
And he has the speed, and so does Osuna. Osuna can go get it. And so could, if the time comes, Sebastian Walcott.
Yeah.
A great athlete, and a guy who we might have to get into this a little bit more in the next segment.
Yeah,
a guy
we can.
Who
we got
is
time.
Just absolutely at age 19 doing things that hadn't been done since Fernando Tatis and Mike Trout were teenagers in Double-A. And the Rangers continue to believe that he could be a major league shortstop. They have a pretty good major league shortstop.
Yeah. Signed up for a pretty long time still.
Yeah, but they're not concerned because Sebastian's such a great athlete that if they had to say, play right field for a couple seasons, that he could do it. So there are options out there. Osuna could be an option for next year because I just don't think Garcia's on the team next year. I think I've said it before. Just they're not going to pay him the money in arbitration that the figure will probably come out to. I don't know if that means they trade him at some point. Maybe he gets hot and they trade him.
Yeah.
Or, maybe they do it in the offseason. Maybe they just non-tender. I'd assume they'd want to get something for him.
Got to try and get something for him, I think.
Or maybe they can negotiate a deal for about the same money. So we'll see. That's way down the road, but there are options in the outfield for the Rangers.
Let's talk a little bit more about Sebastian Walcott. I want to get into that also. We'll get to tonight's game and another young Rangers player who's developing before our very eyes. We'll see what to expect from Kumar Rocker when we come back. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it is.
It's Empire Today time.
Yes, it is.
I love Empire Today because, of course, they've supported us, and ever since we debuted on August 26th of last year, and now we're several months into this thing, and here they are still hanging with us. They're kind of giving us a home field advantage.
They are.
And that's what they want to do for you. They want your flooring experience to be as easy as possible and for your home to look as great as possible. And the thing is, you can do all of this without leaving your home.
Mm-hmm.
You schedule your free in-home estimate. They come, they help you choose and match the colors, what would look best, high traffic areas, what's best there, all those things, because they're experts. And then they sit you down, they price you out. And if you say yes, next day they can start. It's going to be quick, it's going to be painless, and it's going to save mileage on your car. So go to empiretoday.com/DLLS. You can get $350 off your new floors.
You know who else has been with us since day one? Game time! That's what we always used to say about game time. But now it's so much deeper than just screaming their name, because we're friends with Nicole, at least I am.
Oh, yeah.
And she sends me emails all the time, and I got one. See if I can find it. There's not a dang sports event on there, which is good and bad. I mean, the Rangers are gone for 10 days, so they're not pumping, much about the Rangers right now. And the other two teams are done playing. The Wings actually were the first team that came up on my most recent correspondence with Nicole. But in any event, you know what came up? Here it is, Nicole. Thank you. Here's what comes up. Stray Kids. The Stray Kids are at Globe Life Field on Friday. You know who's over here at American Airlines Center tomorrow night? Lil Baby.
Oh, Lil Baby.
Lil Baby.
Okay.
Yeah. We may go see Lil Baby after the post-game show if we get done on time.
So the Stray Kids look like they might be K-pop.
Yeah, they're very K-pop-ish. Anyway, GameTime.com. Go to that spot, DLLS, $20 off your first purchase. The Stray Kids, I thought maybe it was the kids of the Stray Cats, but then I looked.
Yeah, Stray Cats, Cat Strut, all that.
Yeah, that was fun. That was back in the 80s, so you're too young to remember that. Jeff's not.
No,
and I'm definitely.
I had the record.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Sebastian Walcott, because I know you had a conversation about him, a long one with people who know. So, like, where does the organization feel he is right now developmentally? I mean, everybody, of course, is clamoring for this guy to be here, and that'd be wonderful, but it'd suck, right? Because, I mean, again, back in the day, everybody got 1,500 at-bats at the minor league level. Right. He's not going to get to that.
No,
but
and they're not going to. It would take he will have to go to AAA, and he'll have to be good at AAA before the Rangers consider him this season. Now, I think AAA is not far away, and he will be 19 when he gets there. Remember, his birthday is March 14th.
Wow.
So he is a young 19. He will, and he'll be a young 20 next season. And then I don't know that he reaches the major leagues this year. I think that he's young, but the thing that I think impresses the Rangers is the way he's matured the past couple of years, not physically, but as a teenager. It was pointed out to me. I talked to Ross Fenstermaker about this. When he was in the Bahamas playing, he didn't really play a lot of baseball. He played on some travel teams because he had family in Florida, and so he could play in some of those games, and did. But like at 16, or even before then, because these kids in the Dominican now in Latin America are getting with their trainers, their Buscones, at like 12.
Jeez.
And seeing good pitching from their peers or a little bit older. And so you could make the argument, and I think Ross was doing that Sebastian has not played as much baseball as like a kid from the high school baseball draft or kids who are signed in Latin America. So he's still learning. but he already has advanced ability to recognize pitches. He has tremendous power. And the one stat that that MLB.com dug up, it's called, excuse me, isolated slugging percentage, which is slugging percentage minus batting average.
Okay.
And Sebastian's right now, it's 230 something, or it's 200, which is good. Only in the last handful of years there's only two players who have been better than Walcott: Fernando Tatis Jr. and Mike Trout.
And these were at the
As
minor league
teenagers
level.
in Double A.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, and really,
that's pretty good company.
The stat's kind of unfair because it's so early in the season. Check back in a few months, and it could be better than those two. But anyway, that's the company that he's been keeping. You know, last year he did something that only Fernando Tatis and Jackson Chourio, the young star for the Brewers, had done in the last 15 years by a teenager in the minor leagues. It's remarkable stuff. He has a huge arm. His defensive range, I don't know if you guys saw a play he made over the weekend. It was a Jeter like in the hole jump and throw, you know, an Elvis Andrus type play. Guy was out. You know, they want him to be better with the routine plays, which is something that Elvis Andrus struggled with coming up. But they just feel really good about it. And the strikeout to walk ratio right now, it's about 2-1. They're thrilled with that. He's improved that from last season. So this is just a guy who has the chance to be, and Baseball America came out today with their updated top 100 prospects list. He's at number 6. The MLB.com story yesterday was like, who's going to be the next number 1? And Walcott was one of their candidates. The point is, this is a talent, and Baseball America today said that if everything comes together the right way, he continues on this development path, he could be a 5-tool player.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's pretty good stuff. He
That's
does
huge.
have to watch out for the breaking balls. Those are still tripping him up a little bit. But, again, he's 19.
Well, and that's the thing.
And Adolis is 33 and still getting tripped up.
Right, exactly.
By breaking balls.
And so along those lines, though, so young and relatively, even compared to other 19-year-olds, inexperienced at baseball, have they weighed in on sort of that thing? And I know it's something that Ross loves about Evan Carter, that is baseball IQ, right? Have they weighed in on where Sebastian stands in that department?
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff, good instincts, you know, and it's just now refinement.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, there's still some development to do, but like making the routine plays. Okay, you got to make
them.
You can't be a shortstop doing that. You can't be anything doing that. You know, you can be DH, but you know he can run too. I mean, he just has it all, and it's exciting. You don't want to get too excited. You know, and I think a lot of people go back to the 23 team and are like, hey, he could give a Evan Carter like spark. Maybe he could, but he's got to get to AAA first, even though Evan only spent like a week there. But you know, there's also at the same time, don't really need to rush him. You know?
Nope. They might need to if they get back in this thing like they did in 23. They kind of needed Evan, and that all worked out fine. Tonight they need to be better than they were last night, at least offensively. And they'll do it with Kumar Rocker back on the mound for the Rangers tonight, Jeff. And again, if you just look at the pitching matchup and you see Kumar's 8.10 ERA or whatever it is, you think, oh, boy, Rangers are in trouble tonight. But he's been either really good or pretty bad in his major league starts so far this year.
Yeah.
And he was beyond really good, like fantastic in his rehab starts.
Right. And a lot of numbers are skewed in the first month. If you have especially if you're a reliever, you go out there, you could have 7 of 8 scoreless outings, but in the one you gave up 6 runs. Well, your ERA is not going to be very good.
Right.
And so that's part of Kumar's deal. But as we've talked about, he feels like he's got his body back in sync, and is with it. Everything is right mechanically, and so that in theory should mean that he's going to command his fastball and that his slider is going to be a devastating pitch. So you got to see it. I don't think it's time to duck and cover. If you're watching
Yeah.
tonight's game, you can watch it with both eyes open and not be too scared. He seemed pretty relaxed and confident the other day when we were talking to him. He was kind of joking with us,
which is rare, actually.
and he hadn't been that way earlier in the season. He just hadn't been. So maybe that's a sign too.
Sure.
If you want to read into that stuff, and by God, that's what we do.
Well, that's our job.
Yeah.
And again, and none of it really means anything until he gets out on the mound and starts facing, especially those major league hitters again. I do think that there's something to A, how he feels, B, how they feel, meaning the opposing team, when he's at the minor league level. He was so dominant at the minor league level last year, both AA and AAA, and he's been that way so far this year. Did he make a rehab start at each level?
One at AA, one at AAA.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And he was dominant in both, right?
Yeah.
So somehow, he's so much more dominating at that level, and you want, man, let's go do it here. And he really, honestly, he had 7 strikeouts in his first start at Seattle. That was a pretty bad offensive team last year. I don't think he's been dominant yet at the major league level. Now he's young, and he's going to have many opportunities to do so. He's got the skills, he's got the stuff, he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, but it takes a while to get adjusted to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, his second home start this year was really good. I mean, the first one wasn't bad, but only struck out one guy. That was against Tampa.
Yeah,
and I think the next one was against the Angels, and he pitched into the 7th and was pretty strong and looked good. I think we in the media went ahead and called it the best start of his career. Now,
sure.
He's only had like eight big league starts, and I don't know if you really count the 3 last year because he wasn't pitching deep into the game. So it's all there, though. I mean, when he's healthy, as he is now, the Rangers believe that they have something special on the stuff side, but also just the competitor that he is, the mound presence that he has, all those things that scouts love, Kamar has. And so that's kind of the package you're looking at. He seems very unflappable. You get him out there and all kinds of things could be happening, and it seems like his heart rate stays the same. It's a unique guy with his dad, a football coach, so he grew up around pro sports, but not necessarily professional baseball. He went to college, could have gone pro right out of high school. Has had a long, winding road too. This has been a unique road to get to this point. But getting back to our original point here, John, just in our conversation with him Sunday and the things he said, looking at what came out of the rehab starts. If he'd had 2 bad rehab starts, he wouldn't be starting tonight.
No, that's right.
I think honestly, if Nathan Eovaldi wasn't on the injured list, he wouldn't be starting tonight. He would be starting probably today at for Frisco or Round Rock. So he's earned this, and the Rangers feel like they've seen something that they can think will translate well tonight against major league hitters.
Yeah, there's no doubt the Rangers' preference was to have him do one more rehab start, mostly just to get stretched out. The question to Kamar was, my gosh, you've shoved, right? You've been dominant at these 2 minor league starts. What more can you prove down there? And he's kind of like, I don't know. And he's right, except stretching out, right? Just kidding. And then so we asked Boch about the same thing. And at that point, Nathan's IL stay had not been made public. I'm not even sure at that point. I know at that point Boch knew they were considering it, but I'm not sure he knew which way it was going to go. And he was like, well, we'd like to have Kamar make one more start just to stretch him out.
Right. And at the time the thought was Eovaldi would start tomorrow. But put him on the IL, safe move.
Yep.
And it allows most of the rest of the rotation to get that extra day's rest. I think all of them did. So it just kind of made some sense for the whole team and for the long term, because again, the Rangers do expect that they will be a contender.
Yep. Still expecting that. Everybody around here just basically hoping that. Hope's really not a strategy, but what else can we do at this point? More coming up. It's our cleanup segment. We'll hit some of the questions as well. We'll fly through things in cleanup and talk with you, the chatters, next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. It's my favorite shirt. Every time I wear it, I wear other ones and I go, I think maybe this is emerging. This is my OG right here, the first one I got. And I swear, maybe it's just because the way it pops in the light and everything here, Jeff, but this is my and plus, by the way, I think we're going to show some glow-in-the-dark baseball in a minute. I think I could cover glow-in-the-dark baseball with this shirt on, which is kind of cool, too.
Yeah, and
you see what I'm saying?
They're not going to miss it coming.
No, I don't think
or at
they
least
will.
They're at least not the outline of our state.
No.
I got the Texas flag shirt. Anyway, you can get all these at store.allcitynetwork.com. So just, like we say every day, quality items. This is the third straight day I've worn one, not this shirt. And again, I've done everything in them. I've slept in them. I did a little yard work in them. I worked out one time in them, and I just hang in them.
Yeah.
They're just, and they're pretty sharp shirts, honestly.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to be, have to worry about your style.
No.
Because you're going to look good in them.
Yeah. Our young people that design these, they're cool. They're hip. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we encourage you to get some of these at store.allcitynetwork.com or haul off and get one for free by becoming a diehard, which is something you really need to do as well.
That is correct. If you're a Rangers fan, chances are you probably like the other three teams, or at least follow them. Well, nobody follows the DFW 4 major pro sports teams like us. Yes, there's the Dallas newspaper, Fort Worth newspaper, don't even bother. And we are there all the time.
Yeah.
If we're not at the ballpark, like I'm not in Tampa, obviously, I'm a phone call away. I'm a text message away. We're plugged in. We know what we're doing. We're veteran writers. And you can read all of our stuff if you become a diehard at alldlls.com/join.
Okay. So yesterday, as we cleaned things up today, I think it was yesterday, maybe we brought it up Monday, was the debut of Jack Caglione, the teammate of Wyatt Langford at Florida, who, had a little bit longer of a stint in the minors than Wyatt did, but not much longer. And in fact, I saw one thing on the Twitter machine the other day that said he made it to the major leagues in the Kansas City organization faster than any player has since
Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson.
Bingo.
Yeah. Bo Jackson. You're too young to remember him. Look him up.
Stud that was.
He was good. He was the best two-way player ever. Maybe going back to
best two-way athlete
Thorpe
of our time.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, no offense to Deion Sanders. But,
yeah. No. He's better than Deion.
If Bo had stayed healthy, he would have been a Hall of Famer in both sports.
Yeah. Caglione hit, he was 0 for 5, but he hit at least 3 of those balls really hard. And everybody commented on just how relaxed he was, just how comfortable he was in that place. So everybody's feeling pretty good, thinking that this is going to be sort of Wyatt Langford 2.0. He's going to stay up and he's going to have success. So good for him. You like to see young guys, and I tell you what, that's a young team now. You add him into the Bobby Witt Jr. and they are one of only 3 teams with less runs scored than the Rangers, the Royals.
Yeah.
So they needed a burst. They needed offense.
Right. The Giants shook up their roster this morning. No hot prospects coming up, but in their moves, they designated Sam Huff for assignment, the former Rangers catcher / prospect, who I love Sam Huff.
Never quite made it, though, did he?
Never made it. And, the Rangers, who lost out on Tucker Barnhart as the elected free agency, maybe they can re-sign him. I don't know. Maybe they need to consider old Sam, because there is a lack of catching depth in the organization right now. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, the Giants, John Shea, their great beat writer, tweeted out the other night the all pitching, no offensive Giants. I was like, I feel you, John.
Yeah, big time.
I feel you.
Big time.
Yeah.
100%. So our own North Texas's own Max Muncy is having a resurgence offensively, And lo and behold, this dude is the opposite of Superman, Jeff. He's gone to the spectacles.
Oh.
He wears glasses and does Superman-like things,
Yeah.
unlike Clark Kent, who, whipped the glasses off and put on the uni in a phone booth and all that. Max Muncy is completely, he's trying to say, well, it's not the glasses, it's all the hard work I've done. But he had astigmatism, and he got glasses, and he wears them into games, and he looks different. But the point is, he's hitting well.
Well, it worked for Ricky Vaughn in Major League.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
The Rangers had a minor leaguer who you guys remember, J.P. Martinez,
Yep.
who was struggling, from Cuba, and he was struggling. And then all of a sudden, he had LASIK surgery one off season. The next year, he goes back to Double-A for the third season, I think. And he's hitting like 320.
Yeah.
And I talked to him about it, and he said, he explained in Spanish. Jonathan Ornelas was my translator, that he'd had LASIK surgery. I was like, well, damn, that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe Greg Maddux had LASIK surgery at some point in his career. Mike Maddux, if you guys have seen shots of him the last 6 weeks, he's had a variety of glasses, a lot of them darkened because he had cataract surgery.
Oh.
Apparently Bruce Bochy had it in the offseason a couple years ago, but it's like a 2-step procedure. So they had one step, then you got to wait, and then you have to have the second step. So I think Mike is at the end of his eye journey. But it's you got to see the ball to hit it, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, especially in baseball. That's one of the things Mark McLemore always told me. He was blessed with just like really good vision. Like he'd go to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor would go, "Man, like you've got the best 20/20 I've ever." Like they could just there was a level of almost perfection in his eyes, and Mac truly believes that's one of the reasons he was able to make it to Major League Baseball and stay as long as he did, 19 years. So, okay, so how about poor Paul Skeens?
Oh, that poor guy.
This poor guy.
Well, he's got it really rough.
I say poor. Yeah, let's take a look at a tweet we saw today. Whoever Donnie is there. Hard to feel bad for a guy dating a model and will one day sign a $500 million contract. But, folks, the Pirates have made it possible. A quick aside on dating the model. Did you see the video from the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model on the runway thing? And she gets to the end of the runway because she's a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Like all the others, the gals walk down to the end and turn around and walk back.
Yeah.
She gets to the end and goes bam down into the splits.
Oh, boy.
Because she's a gymnast, too, as we know.
Oh,
Livy Dunn.
Dunn.
This is.
Oh, my gosh.
Livy Dunn.
That's pretty, yeah.
That's the model. The $500 million's no doubter. It won't come from the Pirates, but it'll come from somewhere. and the reality is, so in the last 5 games, he's allowed 1 run or less in 5 straight games. The Pirates are 2-3.
Yeah.
2-3. That means in 3 of those, anyway, they've scored 0. And we know we're throwing stones here, but 0.
Yeah, I think he's allowed 19 runs this year, and the Pirates have lost 19 earned runs, and the Pirates have lost 8 of those. 8 of his starts. It's sure to be frustrating, obviously. Hey, Paul, if you're looking for a shoulder to cry on, call Nathan Eovaldi or Jacob deGrom. They can help you out. But
yeah,
you remember when it's a U.S. Open? I don't remember when it was, but Spieth won it. It was in Seattle, and he beat Dustin Johnson, who missed a putt on 18 or something like that. And everyone was like happy for Jordan, and I feel for Dustin Johnson. And then they showed Paulina Gretzky, who was wearing a button-up shirt that she didn't bother to button, let's say, the top 4 buttons.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, old DJ is going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine.
Sorry about the missed putt, but you're gonna land on your feet over here. And by the way, the missed putt still rendered him, $2 million instead of 4 or 5 to win that thing. But anyway, and that's Paul Skeens. Like you said, it's hard to feel sorry for him. So we've got this video of a bullpen catcher, and Jeff and I have known the bullpen catchers at the Rangers organization for years. I just saw, I hadn't seen Josh in a long time, and I saw him when I was on the road in Detroit. I didn't realize he's not bullpen catching anymore. He's kind of a special assistant, but still traveling with the team. But bullpen catchers are generally former players who maybe even got to a high level for the longest time. When Bobby Witt Sr. was on the team, his brother Doug was the bullpen catcher for the Rangers.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but there's always a bullpen catcher. Generally, guys.
The Rangers have 2.
Yeah, they have 3. Well, 2 because Josh isn't one. Yeah.
But Josh can step in.
Yeah, he can step in. But yeah, so they have 3 essentially. But here's what it looks like to be a bullpen catcher. Pretty cool. And that's framing, by the way, people. Glove down, ball up, boom. See, that's what they mean by framing. And it makes sure that ball lands in the umpire's eye in the strike zone.
Yeah. Hey, even the bullpen catchers.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. I think it would be the hardest. I mean, even just doing what we just saw.
Yeah.
Now add a batter in there.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's the hardest job on the field. Not to mention all the balls that you take off the gonads and
that's right.
Everything else. Grundle.
Yeah.
Right off the Grundle.
Watch out for that Grundle.
Yeah. And now this, and then we're going to get to questions. How about this glow-in-the-dark baseball? This is, I love that. Here, all right, now watch. Watch when the cat slides. He kicks up like pig pen stuff, you know? I don't know how they do that, Jeff.
I don't know. Pretty cool. Henry has a ball where it lights up. And so you can play catch at night.
Nice.
It's hard though. Anyway.
I bet it is hard. I've seen, never tried the night golfing. Now the ones in Saudi Arabia where they're lighted, I'm sure I could figure that out.
Yeah.
But the ones with the glowing ball, I'm not.
Yeah, I've flown into Phoenix at nighttime, and there's a course in Tempe that's not far from the old where Arizona State plays its games, Municipal. I think it's called Municipal. It's where the A's used to train. But yeah, I've never really been tempted to try that.
Yeah, no, me neither. No.
I lose enough balls as it is.
Rarity is wondering what's our best guess on how to get the offense going consistently. I wish I had one.
The little things.
Yeah, just small ball. Yeah,
that's
move
it.
runners over
until you can do the other stuff. Go back to basics.
Yeah,
ultra modern 007 has been particularly hard on Rangers player development, specifically with Langford and Evan Carter. I would say that they're not finished products. He's asked me to go look at Wyatt's numbers since Brett Boone was hired. And it just so happens that the Rangers game notes hit my inbox today. And
nice.
Wyatt is slumping. There's no question about it. What was it? Here it is. Here we go. Here come the numbers. The numbers say, God dang it. They don't say God dang it. Well, they do kind of say dog dang it. Wyatt, he is 0 for his last 13, batting 174 in the last 23 games. He does lead the team in home runs, 5 homers in his last 20 games. So I guess when he's hitting homers, he's doing damage. But I get your point. I don't think it's a player development failure just yet. Let's give him a little more time.
And Trash may be a little strong.
Trash is a little strong.
I think Trash is a little strong, but
it's
all good.
He's still playing good defense, and when he's on the bases, he's doing great things. So I would not call him trash yet. He hasn't played great. And then Evan, he needs more at bats. That's it's hard to judge his MLB season to this point because he just hasn't had very many at bats. So let's hold off on that, calling them failures and that the Rangers are going to destroy them. I think ultimately with Evan, it's going to come down to his health.
Right.
100%. This is also a guy that didn't play last year basically and lost a year of development time. So. Have a cocktail, Ultra. And let's calm those nerves a little bit.
Have an Ultra. Why not? Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for us today. Tomorrow, remember, we're here after the game. So right now, I think we're scheduled to be on at 9:15, but who knows? It could be a little sooner, could be a little later. Depends on how long the game takes, and or if there's a damn rain delay, which I suppose is always possible since they're playing outdoors in Florida this time of year. We do thank you, though, for joining us today. We always have fun chatting with you and talking Rangers baseball. And, let's just see if maybe, just maybe, they can get them on, get them over, and get them in, Jeff.
Yeah, what a novel concept.
See what I'm saying? We'll see you tomorrow for the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.